Round trouble, get this shit blicking. Ooh, come on, Naeem. Who do you think you're dealing with? Joey Bananas. We're fucking back, baby. We're back. We're printing. We're day trading. We're swing trading. We're running bots. We're running, what's it called? DeFi protocol strategies. Printing cash as the rest of the world stops to relax and chill and think that the bull run, the market's done, it's over. Double top on Bitcoin. We're going into a bear market. We'll let them believe that, gentlemen. We'll let them believe that. Inside the Discord, though, those of you that are inside, you already know what we're doing. You already know what we're positioned in. We're already prepared for the ultimate run. I'm just gonna get right into it because there's nothing to fucking talk about. There's nothing to, or there's no time to waste, right? We know what we got to talk about. We know what's going on in the markets. Let me just pull it up for you, huh? How about I just pull it up for you? Here it is. Boom. And I got a couple of new indicators I'm going to show you, gentlemen, that are going to be very attractive for you to use, but you're not going to have access to them. They are invite-only indicators. You got to know somebody. You got to pay something to actually use these. But I'm gonna show them on stream for you, gentlemen. All right, some fucking sick indicators. Which, let me do a little Mr. Producer, and I'm gonna move the indicator so you can actually see it because I know I'm covering it. All right, let me move this quickly. Settings, and let's do table position. We'll do top left. Thank you. I don't like that though because now it's covered up by this. Let me just move it, rascalat. All right, let's do it like this. Let's see. Bottom left, let's see. Maybe bottom left. All right, we'll do it like that. All right, gentlemen, let's take a look here, right? Just like this. All right, we're jumping right into it. No time to waste, okay? So, what people are talking about, right? They're talking about the double top on Bitcoin, similar to the double top that we had in 2021 cycle, right? So we have this massive run up from this nuke right here, which was COVID, okay? So from COVID, we literally were just up only until we get this first major top on Bitcoin. That was your first alt season. That's when Dogecoin went to $90 billion market cap. Everything went fucking insane. Great. You get this massive correction over the summertime down until about July 21. And then we run that bitch back turbo. Sort of a second alt season, essentially, where a bunch of different runners came about, like Shiba Inu, right? Dogecoin ran in May. Shiba Inu was the beta, the first beta meme coin to Dogecoin, and then Shiba flipped Doge on this second run-up, right? So we got this double top. Nobody called this. Nobody knew it was coming. Nobody could have foreseen, etc. And so this actually ended up destroying so many people because they round-tripped effectively all of, if not most of their gains on that second double top. Because at the time, when you're running the bitch back turbo, and all you see is this, and you get this first top, and then you run it back down, which this is a huge correction, by the way. It's not a small correction. This is a huge correction. So to low, you were down 55, 56% just on Bitcoin within months. That's a huge correction, massive correction. So to go from that to then run it all the way back up to new highs, right? To new highs. Let me actually do like this. Hold on. To run it back up to new highs, you're thinking, oh shit, we're about to fucking rip into price discovery again. Obviously, that's just what it seems like in the moment, right? And so you run it back up, 2.5x from the lows. You think, all right, we're about to fly. You get this little drawdown, this little pullback, and you're thinking here, I'm entering in here. We're about to fucking rip into price discovery. Well, not exactly. Not exactly what happened. Now we know this actually ended up going into a fucking huge bear market. And this was just the complacency shoulder right here, right? So the complacency shoulder is where you would be looking to get out. Now, obviously, this was much lower than the top, so it was not a great place to... You wouldn't have been happy to get out March 22, okay? So that's what people are afraid of happening again this cycle. They're saying, oh shit, we didn't have the energy to break out again. It feels very toppy, double top, etc. So now we come to this cycle. Here's our bull market trend, okay? Which, by the way, bull market trend over here would have been look at this. Look what I'm about to show you. Some alpha. Okay. Look at this. Look at this alpha. I'm going to show you real quick. So here was the difference between the double tops. I'm going to show you. So the bull market trend, let's put it on the weekly. The bull market trend in 2022, starting after COVID, the low, running all the way up to the double top, looked like this, okay? So notice the big difference here. Notice the big difference. Here's the bull market trend, right? We didn't lose it this whole run up. We came back down, retested the bull market trend, actually lost it. This created the low here in 21. We came back up, retested the trend line, broke down, retested the trend line, broke down, and that was the bear market. So we never actually reclaimed our bull market trend. So keep in mind, this is huge. I'm showing you game right now, right? So here's your bull market trend on the weekly, okay? The low to the high. Double top occurred because we ended up doing a bearish underside retest of this trend line twice, broke down both times, and then instead of actually reclaiming the trend, we broke down from there. We would have had to have done this, and then higher, right? We would have had to have reclaimed that trend line. We didn't, okay? So that was the double top from last cycle, and that's when everybody got fucked. So that's the bull market trend. Well, now where's the current bull market trend. Pull it back down towards here too, but this is essentially the trend right here. We have the bull market trend this time. We have it, right? So here we lost it. This bull market, let me get this out. Look at this shit out of the way. We still have it this time, okay? So this is why I don't believe this is a double top. Why? Well, because, whoops. Where's the newest trend line I had? Right? So this one, we lost the trend, rejected, bear market. This one, we still have the trend. We're still trending up. Right? So I don't see this and say, all right, double top, it happened again. We lost the bull market trend. We're going to go into a bear market, etc. No, I don't look at it like that at all. Now, where we were dicey, where, you know, they had this fucking major fake out that scared the shit out of people, was this false breakdown right here. Right? They did a very quick false breakdown of this trend. Okay, where they closed one weekly candle below the bull market trend, but the very next weekly candle closed above it, and then that's when we resumed our push back up higher. Now, we're just getting a local correction, naturally, because we were up only for 2 months, just the same way we were down only for 3, right? We're up only for 2 months. Now we're due for a little correction, probably come down into where? Probably another tag of the bull market trend line, right? This is why I'm expecting a macro pullback into here, and then we lift off, okay? That's what makes the most sense right now. So do I think we double topped and we're about to go into a bear market? No, because it's contextually different. Bull market trend was lost over here, going to a bear market. Bull market trend has not been lost in this run up. Okay, beautiful. All right, so that's what my opinion on the double top is. I don't believe it is a double top. Different context, smaller drawdown from the top here as well. We didn't actually lose the bull market trend like we did here, and then did a bearish underside retest and broke down. The equivalent to this move from the last cycle would have been this. We would have had to have done this on Bitcoin. Instead of reclaiming the bull market trend, we would have had to have come down in here, like back in the 60K, push back up. Like this was like the run it back turbo, like we did on the double top over there. So you run it back turbo up in here, reject off the bull market trend, double top, like that. But we reclaimed it. We're going to come from above, retag the trend, and then push up higher. Okay, so that's the difference between the double tops. So I don't believe double top. Now let's go on a lower time frame, more locally on Bitcoin. Okay. All right, so here's our ticker. And then let me throw some of the drawings on. Trend line, yep. All right, fibs. Fibs I'll leave there just because I'm going to explain this in a second. Okay, that's the yearly open. Channel. Support. Okay, good. All right, a couple of things to look here on Bitcoin. And then we're going to move into some of the altcoins that we're holding. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay. So here's what we got on Bitcoin. A couple different things. So let me actually hide the fibs real quick. Okay. Here's the range itself. And I'll even show you this monthly open. Okay. So here's the local range we're in on Bitcoin. Okay. So we get to this all-time high range. We start to distribute, create this high, and then we go into this downtrend for about 3 months. Okay. So we're just continue to reject off this downtrend, ended up breaking out of the all-time high range. Okay. Come back down, retest the bull market trend line, retest it again. We broke down, false breakdown, and we ended up reclaiming the bull market trend as we broke this downtrend. Okay. So once you reclaim here, you're all right, you're automatically bullish again. We pump straight back up into the range again. Well, when you get range lows, you get range highs. Guess what we got? And then we got this false breakout again. Okay. So again, this is going to be a false breakout or a deviation. So let's do. Okay. There's your false breakout. Okay. So here's what happened. We didn't actually break out into price discovery. Okay. So what's likely going to happen? Well, if you don't break out when you push, you're going to get a drawback down, obviously, because we just went straight up for 2 months. So what are the obvious levels to look here? What are the supports and the resistance levels? So February monthly open was clearly a significant level. Now, why is it a significant level? Let me turn on the fibs again. Okay. So the fibs that I have turned on, these are macro fibs. So if I zoom out for you, these are the fibs that called the top at around 102,000. Fibs in a bull market work, right? Because I drew the fibs over the 4-year reaccumulation over the last cycle. Okay. So range low, mid-range, range highs, which was the all-time highs from last cycle. We come into this 2024, we hit previous cycle all-time highs. We ranged to sideways, trying to break out. We finally broke out. Where did we break out to? We tag the 1.618 fib perfectly on a breakout. Okay. That's normal. That's how fibs work. This is how people call tops. This is how people take profits, etc. Okay. So now we come back on a closer time frame, right? So you can see this 1.618 called this top on Bitcoin naturally. So what is it doing over here? Well, you can see it's actually acting as support from this move up from 96,000 up to 103,000. So then we ranged sideways. We built short to go long. We pushed up, and now we're coming back down to retest. So that February monthly open is located right where that fib is at. So let me take that out of there. Okay, and then I'll take out the yearly open. Oops. This one. Oop, no. Which one is it? There it is. Okay. So that 1.618 fib is what's holding the structure up here. Okay. So we came back down. We're retesting the top of the range naturally, and then we're going to reject, right? Because I said this on last stream. When you get the same way where you re-enter the range from below, I said open longs, get bullish, and we made money on this. You open longs at range low because you can expect range high after you get range low. Well, now, if you get range high, re-entering from the upside, you can expect what? The opposite, range low, which would make sense. So what I'm expecting here on this pullback from Bitcoin, because we got this false breakout, is you're going to see a move. So we just retested. Now we rejected off the top of the range. You're going to get a move down in here. Might get another little bounce. Pop down in here. Maybe a little bounce. And then I believe down into this region around in here. Okay. Why does that make sense? Well, this right here on Bitcoin was an inefficient move. There's an FVG here, fair value gap. Okay. This candle's naked, covered by nothing. Okay. So it's going to come back down. It's going to refill this candle. And the next level of support and liquidity and demand was right here, which is confluent with this trend line, the bull market trend. So what I'm expecting is, let's do a redo. So what I'm expecting is on Bitcoin, you're going to get this macro pullback this week to start the month of June, likely come back down into that bull market trend line. On the retag, that's when we fucking rip it up higher. Makes sense as well because it gives us the opportunity to go ahead and clear out our oscillators, which is the RSI, the momentum oscillators, get them back down to oversold, but at a higher price towards that trend line, and then we rip it back up higher for a push up higher, right? So this is this new indicator I want to show you guys. Okay, so take a look at this. So on the bottom left-hand corner, you see this indicator. I'm not sure if you can see the numbers well on the screen. Let me see. Yes, you can. Yeah, if you got full screen, you're fine. So in the bottom left-hand corner, what you see is an RSI indicator for different assets. So it's called RSI Symphony Gradient. So if I turn it off, I'll show you what it looks like. So it actually changes the colors of the candlesticks on Bitcoin. So this is the normal candlestick chart, right? Green and red. And when you turn on the RSI Symphony, it actually changes some of the red to green and some of the green to red and vice versa because it's showing you the RSI momentum, okay? So, for example, if you take a look at these candles, these are red right in here. When I turn on the indicator, they turn green, okay? Why is that important? Because what the indicator is telling you is as these candles remain green, we remain bullish, meaning that we're longing here. We're holding spot here. We're dragging up higher, okay? When the candles start turning red and getting a darker shade, that's when you turn bearish, okay? So right here, you get bearish. Look what happened. Bearish. And then as soon as we flip these candles green again, we start getting more consistently green candles, right? You can use it as a confirmation, we should flip bullish again. Then all this was green, pretty much, until we start getting some more red up in here. So what's sick about this indicator is it's showing you the momentum of the chart. So in the bottom left-hand corner, you see index, crypto, right? So I have it indexing Bitcoin on the top row of RSI numbers. I have it indexing Ethereum in the middle row and then Solana on the bottom row. So even though we're looking at Bitcoin, it's indexing me Bitcoin, ETH, and Sol all at once, the RSI indicators. So look what you can do here. So you can see across the board on Bitcoin, the actual RSI score is 48, which is below the median, which is bearish. Okay, so we're flipping bearish. So on the 1 minute we're low, 5 minute we're low, 15 we're low, 30 minute low, all under 50, until you get to the weekly, which is 61, and monthly 68, which makes sense because we're in a higher time frame bull market. But on a daily and lower time frame, we're due for a correction. That's how you can use that to basically tell, all right, where's the market heading? So weekly, monthly, still definitely bullish. Makes sense. We're in a bull market. But daily and below, bearish. What are we getting right now? Pullback. Makes sense, right? So it's a sick indicator to use. It also can show you relative strength, right? Because now you look at this indicator, right? Look at the score for Ethereum. Ethereum's 54, which confirms to us what I've been saying on the last stream or two, that Ethereum is starting to outperform Bitcoin. Ethereum is starting to show more strength relative to what it had in the past this cycle. And you can see it right here on the indicator. It's got a stronger RSI score than Bitcoin itself. And then Solana at the bottom, even worse than both of them. So what was I talking about? One of the gentlemen inside of he's actually somebody I trade with, right? So we were making plays all weekend, swing trading on perps, on Hyperliquid, printing on the lower time frames because the moves we were getting down from the all-time high were just absolute money printer on short. So we were just printing on shorts the whole time. So what did I open my short on? Again, I put this in the Discord, so the people who tailed me made money and are still making money on this short. But I'm going to tell you now, after we've already done it on stream, is we shorted Solana. Why do we short Solana instead of Ethereum or Bitcoin? This RSI indicator is telling you exactly why. On the higher time frames, Solana is much weaker right now than Ethereum and Bitcoin. Okay, so Solana is underperforming both of those assets. So if ETH is going to come down 1%, Solana is going to come down 2%. So if I'm opening up a short and I'm trying to make as much money possible on a short trade, I'm going to short Solana as opposed to ETH or Bitcoin. Why? Because on the drawdown, I'm going to get a higher percentage move on Solana, therefore making more money on the same size. Make sense? And this confirms it. So you can see Sol's scores at a 40, and it's much more red, the indicator on the RSI. See that? So it's a great indicator to determine, okay, what am I seeing? What's weak right now? What's strong right now? What direction, do I feel the market going? Okay. So beautiful, right? Beautiful. So this is, and then you can change this to whatever you want. So if you want to change it to, you could change it to BNB. You can do XRP. Let me put XRP. Okay. And then it'll show us the strength for XRP. It'll pop back down. Look, XRP, 46. So XRP also weaker than Ethereum, right? Ethereum's a better hold right now. So Bitcoin 30-minute or RSI on the 1 minute, it's jeeting right now. Dumping, right? So that means we're getting a local pullback. So, or a very, very local pullback, right? Anyways, my point is this indicator is huge for showing us the momentum shift. Clearly, momentum has shifted back to the downside. So as these oscillators clear out and get closer to the 20, 30, 40 mark on all time frames, on the lower time frame, that's when you're going to see the reversal back up to the upside where everything's going to be bright green across the board, and that's on a breakout. Make sense? Okay. So that's one of the indicators I want to show you. Quickly, another indicator that's very nice. Okay. So this is a spaghetti VWAP. So VWAP spaghetti days. Okay. Let me get this out of the way. Okay. And like I said, even though there's going to be a local pullback, we're still printing on the perps because we're riding the shorts down with the trend. So we're still making a bunch of money onto the downside. Of course, I'm not going to give you the actual entries on stream. It's going to be in the Discord. So look at this. Another reason to be bearish locally is right now we're in the process of trying to lose this 30-day rolling VWAP. Okay. So this is what has held up Bitcoin here locally from the 103. So from this local G, we came back down. We tagged the 30-day VWAP, bounced right back up off of it. Who could have foreseen? Look what we do. All right, so you lose the range high. You come back down inside of the range. You hit the VWAP. You come back up. You reject off of the top of the range. So you're showing that, yep, we're confirming that we're moving back into the range. Okay. As we speak, Bitcoin is trying to lose this 30-day VWAP. Okay. So we have not closed a daily candle below it yet. So this one closed right above. closed above, closed above. This one's below it right now. If we get a close on this candle below the 30-day VWAP, expect a quick nuke. So you're going to see something like this. So if you close below this 30-day VWAP, expect this move right after, before you get a bounce, about 99K. So that's a perfect indication as to what's to come. You close below that 30-day VWAP, you're probably nuking back down to this mid-range on the range at the least before you meet with one of the next VWAPs, which could be you either meet with the 60-day or the 180-day down in here, which is confluent with the pullback that we were talking about. All right, I was saying you're probably going to come back down to the bottom of the range, right where this bull market trend line's at, right? It would make sense that you come back down and you meet one of these VWAPs down in here, and that's when you get the next bounce. Beautiful. That's the strength of indicators, right? You don't use an indicator to make your trade decisions, but you use them as confluences to what you see happening on from a broader market perspective, right? So beautiful indicator here as well. So we're losing that 30-day VWAP on Bitcoin, okay? So that's my reason to be locally bearish. Got it? Cool. Questions, comments, concerns in the chat. Let's see. You got any? Let's see, gentlemen. We got 20 plus live viewers across all platforms. Naturally, of course we do. Let's see. Bomba cloud him out of Pellegrin. All right, gentlemen. Cool. So I'm prospecting, adding to my shorts as we lose that 30-day VWAP. There's your play. All right. Prospecting more shorts. All right. So let's get off of this indicator. Turn that off. Okay. Beautiful. All right, gentlemen. Let's take a look. What else we got? We got ETH, Sol. So we can quickly do an update on ETH. So here's the strength ETH has been showing, right? So as Bitcoin's been downtrending, Solana's been downtrending, ETH has just been ranging sideways. There's the strength that you see, okay? Also, we talked about this on last stream on the weekly time frame. We finally got our first, we saw it break down out of this channel during the week, but we just got our first weekly close outside of this channel on the Solana Ethereum chart. We got a weekly close down below the channel. Look what's happening now. Now this week, we're starting to nuke again. So here's what's going to happen. This is why I'm saying this is the time to hold ETH over other altcoins, including Solana. ETH is about to outperform to the upside. ETH is about to outperform Sol, outperform Bitcoin. This is the indicator for alt seasons about to take place, etc. So you see Sol ETH is starting to nuke. You're going to see this on this chart. At least back down into here, right? Okay, which is going to be sick for ETH because that means ETH is going to be running, okay? Running. So this is your demand that you're probably going to come back down and tag. Okay. Okay, something like this, right? And so the bullish case scenario is that happens because ETH is so strong, okay? So you're seeing this nuke out of this channel. We're breaking down. Cool. So Ethereum, you see how strong it's moving sideways as Bitcoin's clearly coming down. ETH is moving sideways. Solana clearly coming down. This is why we shorted Solana. Look, I opened the short back up in like 179 right in here on the daily. About 179, I opened up the Sol short. We're all the way down to 152. Printed on that short. Okay, printed. So Solana is clearly weaker than ETH. Okay, very important to keep note of whenever you're positioning for this next leg up higher. Okay, on a higher time frame, just to give you context on ETH, ETH is still in such a great spot to run. Okay, such a great spot to run because this move back up to 4K just to tag the cycle high is going to print on altcoins. Then you're going to get on this fourth run at it, a breakout, to the first fib to 6K, which is going to be sick. And then you're going to get your run up to 8,500, which we don't even have to talk about what that's going to look like for you guys. Okay. ETH is in such a good spot to run. Let me turn that back off. Turn this off. Here's what ETH looks like. I'll show you something cool. ETH looks like Bitcoin from last cycle. Whoops. Give me the candles. Look at this. No. No. How do I do this? Hold on. Okay. Look at where ETH is. I'm going to show you something sick. Okay. ETH. How do I draw a box? Just give me a rectangle. Where's a rectangle? Check this out. Okay, look at this structure on ETH from here. And then look at this structure on Bitcoin from here. Look at this structure. Okay. ETH is doing what Bitcoin did last cycle. Run up. What the fuck? Run down. Run up. Run down. Run up. One last pullback. And then up only. So Bitcoin does this massive run up, pulls all the way back into a bear market, runs up, you see that? Right? ETH runs up, pulls back, gets one more run up, capitulates. Look at this. Right? It's the same thing here. Run up, pull back, run up, capitulate all the way up. That's where we're at on Ethereum. That's where I think we're at on ETH. I think ETH is just pulling the same fractal that Bitcoin pulled from last cycle. And look where Bitcoin went after this run up. Look at how small that looks. That's what ETH is about to do. Where it's going to look like this. You see how this looks so tiny compared to what Bitcoin's at right now? ETH looks like it's right here. We're literally right here on ETH. This first little move back up after capitulating. We're actually right here on ETH. Push back up to here, previous highs, which would be right here. And then you just run it back. You run it up turbo. So ETH is going to end up looking like this. Up into 15, 20,000. Does it sound incredible? Does it sound crazy? Yep. That's why it's possible. That's what it looks like it's doing. It's the same fucking movement, right? Bull market top on Bitcoin, bear market, capitulate, run. Top, bear market, start to run it back, right? Start to run it back, capitulate again here in March. COVID makes sense. There's your capitulation, COVID. Our capitulation this time was what? Tariffs. So we get the COVID capitulation, we get the tariff capitulation down to 1,700. Run that bitch back turbo. Run that bitch back turbo. Run it up to like 15,000. That's what we're really actually getting ourselves into. Truthfully, that's exactly what I think is going to happen. Is it going to be identical 1-to-1? No. How soon could it happen where we're at 15 to 20,000 on ETH? End of the year at the earliest. Next year at the latest. Just depending on how the markets play out. But that's where we're at on ETH. So there you go. I just want to show you a macro example compared to Bitcoin. We're just running the Bitcoin fractal back from last cycle. That really is what it looks like is happening right now. Which is fucking sick. Because then this is going to look like this. And ETH is going to be up in here. The same way that Bitcoin right? Looks like this now. Where this is where ETH is right now. ETH is in here. And you're going to be looking at ETH over here by the end of this year. And you're going to be thinking, holy fuck, we used to be down here. This is what it used to look like compared to where we're at now. You're going to get that parabolic move. ETH is in this range right here. We're going to see ETH pump up into here. Okay? Generational wealth. Bang. All right. So there we have it. So there's your ETH analysis. Let me get this back in the log. Okay. Talk to ETH. Oops. Okay. Put this back on the daily. Perfect. Okay. Obviously, this is our overhead supply. This is where we've been playing at. What's holding us up? Our fibs. Okay, our fib is holding us up, the 0.5 of the fib. Mid-range for the local range is at 2,900. Yeah, okay, all right. What do we got? What do we got? We got Solana. We've already talked about the relationship with Solana. Solana's weaker than ETH, short on Solana. Equities, look what equities is doing. Who could have foreseen? These levels keep playing. We haven't gotten the deeper pullback that I was expecting yet, right? So push up. I thought we were going to come all the way back down to this naked point of control. Okay. Doesn't seem to be playing, but we're just chopping right above this little demand zone, which is good. So keep us up there. We like that. Let's take a look at DXY real quick, just for some context. DXY is breaking down, bullish. Remember, DXY breakdown, bullish. Yep, we're losing levels. Love it. Okay, as the US dollar drops in value, our assets go up in comparison. Okay, Nvidia's green, gold's still ripping. Gold is still ripping. Incredible. Silver pushing for new highs. Makes sense. Silver broke out from its 0 to 1 reaccumulation range. Pushing for the 1.618. It's not at all-time highs yet. So if we get that 1.618, expect silver to go up to the 2.618. Silver is going to be a great catch-up trade for gold. Okay. Okay. Pepe, bid zone, Worst case, you come back down into here on a further pullback on Bitcoin. You're looking at this demand zone. This is where you bid on Pepe. Full port. Ape. Per. Doing exactly what we expected off of these levels. So we got the pullback on Bitcoin. So naturally we got the pullback on Per. We were buying down in here during demand. We ran it up turbo. This was the next clear supply level. This is pretty much where we topped out at. Broke all the way back down. And I said we're likely going to come right back down to this demand zone. We front ran it. That's how much of a speculative bid there is on Per right now, which is great. That's awesome for us. It's actually good that we didn't get the perfect retest in a sense because there's so much demand for the asset that as soon as we wicked down close to this demand zone, it got instantly eaten back up on this candle. Wicked down again, instantly eaten back up, came all the way back up into our supply on this candle. Now we're rejecting perfectly. Who could have foreseen? Off of the supply, wick down, pop back up. Okay. So there's a ton of bid on Per right now, and I've been bidding on these wicks down. So I've been bidding more Per down here. Okay. Anything in this demand zone down in here even is worth it on Per. Why? Because as soon as we commence the bull market again, this is clearly a winner and a beta to hype. Okay. So remember, hype is the native token for Hyperliquid. Okay. Look what hype did. Look at this. Who could have foreseen? Had this drawn out before the breakout. Okay. Whenever we had it down in here. Okay. Chewed through the supply, broke out, came back down, retested the top of the range beautifully, and then we're starting to push back up again. So hype is the native token for Hyperliquid. Per is, hype Per. Per is the meme coin. So Per is turning into a beta for this asset. Okay. I just want to see what that looks like. So it's turning into a beta for hype. Much lower market cap, much lower, closer to the ground. Hype is still so up off the lows that Per is such a fantastic catch-up trade and bid because it's not even at all-time highs yet. So if you get bids in on Per down in this area, you're going to be very happy with yourself. And let me actually get some fibs on here just to see what we're working with. We'll call this range highs just because. That makes sense. Look. So I just made this naturally the range high. So you see the pullback, push back up to about mid-range. This is the range low. So the 1.618 is going to take us up to 2.5x. To new highs, which I would expect this to play. Almost a 4x from here. It's not bad. Almost a 4x. Going with some size. 76 cents. Right now we're at 19 cents. Yep. I could see that. And the market cap on Per. Let's see what the market cap on Per is. Should be about 100M. Or what, 190? It is about 100. 117. $117 million market cap. 4x would be about 500 million. It's super doable. Hype is already at 10 billion plus. So if Per runs a 5 or 4, if Per runs a 4x, that only takes to a $500 million market cap. That is so doable. So doable. Yeah, I like that target. That's probably my base case on this. As long as we get a breakout on Bitcoin, to new all-time highs. Base case on per, you're seeing a run up into here. Yup. Beautiful. So there's per. We're positioning in that. Boys Club we'll talk about. Right now. So Pepe has been showing fantastic strength. Brett is catching back up to the downside because they've been ripping to the upside. Okay. So on a further pullback on Bitcoin, I'm expecting Brett anywhere in here makes sense. Okay, so for the pullback on Bitcoin, you probably bounce up and then down in here somewhere, right? Fill up this inefficient move right here. Okay, those two candles are inefficient. So you come back down to this consolidation region. And I'm looking to bid Brett anywhere in here. Okay, anywhere in here. I'm looking at Brett. Okay. First target 6.3 billion. Right now it's at 500 mil. That's a 10x. 10x on Brett from these levels. Andy, another fantastic bid right now. Andy, I'm looking to grab. I have been grabbing. Yeah, so you're probably coming back down into here. Yep, makes sense right there. This is your bid on Andy. I've been buying in here and on these wicks down. That's actually exactly where I bought it. On these wicks down, I've been buying. But anything on top and inside of this demand, I'm ripping. I'm ripping buys there. Fucking porting. Range lows, porting that. Wolf also been buying here. Why? I already had the demand drawn out. We got the wicks down on Wolf. And guess where I was buying? On the wick downs. Okay, so we're getting a little technical bounce here. Probably go like this. Maybe, if that. But then probably somewhere in here. Consolidate, just like we did here. Right? Probably consolidate right here. And then we run it back. Okay. Boom. All right, those are your levels on Boys Club. Long story short, you have some very good bids on assets. I'd wait further down for hype. I'd wait further down on Bitcoin if you're going to buy Bitcoin. And all of this is confluent with this too. So this is another spot to show to bid altcoins. We came right down into this demand zone, wicked right into it, and I was saying bid in here. That's where I was bidding my Boys Club, bidding per, was when we get this wick down. We came back up after losing the mid-range on this chart. Look, we're rejecting right at the mid-range again. Makes sense. Probably come back down into the actual demand on this pullback on Bitcoin to about 99K. So you're going to be in here. 99K Bitcoin, you're in here. If you get the full pullback and the full run into like 94K, you're going to see this level get hit, and then you run. But those are your bid zones on altcoins in general. That'll give you a good play. Okay? All right, gentlemen. I gave you it. That's everything. That's all the juice you need. The only thing you're missing is actually being in the Discord so you get the calls live whenever I'm actually taking them so you can print money onto the downside and get into the new assets whenever they're at the lows. So if you're not inside the Discord, links in the description. Click on the website. Join as a professional. Join as a gentleman. Whatever you want access to in the Discord is going to be there. Obviously, if you're watching the crypto stream, you're going to want to do gentlemen so you can actually get access to the private crypto plays portion of the Discord where you're going to see my positioning, my shorts, my longs, what trades we're taking. I'll work with you individually on your portfolio, what to accumulate, what's the strategy, how we're going to make you money, etc. But join ASAP because I'm telling you, being a part of a network like this is invaluable. No matter how inexpensive the network is right now, it is going to be priceless in terms of your development and growth as an investor, as a leader, as a person who makes. And if you're interested in becoming rich, you need to be inside the network. Why? Because we're doing things in there that you can never even think up of. You would. We're implementing strategies inside of there that you just don't know what you don't know. And so anybody that ever has joined and made money with us has come back to me afterwards and said, holy shit, I didn't even know this world existed. I didn't even know this was something that was possible. It's like, exactly. That's why you got to be around the people who are doing it 24/7 so you can get exposure to those strategies, exposure to the edges that are actually going to make you profitable and win at a high level in the long run. Because without it, you're just going to get decimated. You're going to continue to get destroyed by people who are using AIs, people who are using bots, people who are using strategies that you don't understand that exist. You're going to keep getting destroyed because you're the normie, you're the noob. You think you know something that other people don't, but in reality, you're actually the majority. Get in with the minority. Get in with the people who know what the fuck is going on. And then you'll print to the upside or to the downside with us. All right? But outside of that, I'm out of here. I'm going to do Mr. Producer. You guys know what it is. And do live scene, and then we'll do this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, peace. I'm gonna do Mr. Producer. Like, comment, subscribe, retweet, show some type of love, do me some type of service for bringing you the fucking juice. Whoa. That's hilarious. What the world's going on here? Mr. Producer. We got all them hoes.